Hello, TBL family. You welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. Thank you for liking, for subscribing, and for your words of encouragement. I know I haven't been consistent. So sorry for this. It's because I have so much on my plate right now. I'm going to try my possible best to be more consistent than before. I hope I follow through with my words. Just please bear with me. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing us how I made this Bubu outfit with a rope at the waistline. I actually made this outfit for a client for the Salah celebration, and I felt I should share the idea or the knowledge of making the dress with you. If you're watching or seeing my channel for the very first time, please subscribe, join the family, and stay tuned till the end of the video. Please like. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So this is the fabric I'm going to be using. It's a Duchess fabric and it's a light shaky fabric which is more good for outfits like this. In case you're thinking of sewing this bubu or any bubu, I would advise you to buy lightweight fabric, shaky fabric that can easily fall at the side to give more effect of the style you want to create. So I have my pattern paper already cut out. This is the full length of the dress I'm going to be making. I already cut the pattern paper out like so from the full length of the outfit. The very first thing I'm going to do is to rule my border lines. As usual, if you are conversant with my videos, you know I don't take border lines lightly. So after ruling my border lines, at this side is going to be where I'm going to be leaving my slits. For my slit, the upper side is the shoulder line, while the lower side of the pattern paper is going to serve as the hemline of the dress. And the very first thing I'm going to do is to measure is the waist, which is very important because of the rope I'm going to be putting at the waist. Then I'll go ahead to mark the hip line and also mark the knee of the outfit. The hip is not really necessary, so I'm just going ahead to mark it, and that edge there is my M line. So what I'm going to do is to rule out my measurement, and the measurement I'm going to be using for this particular line, which is my knee length line, is the hip of the person divided by 4. So whatever your hip is, just go ahead to divide it by 4. And also at the hemline, I'm going to be doing the same thing, marking the hip divided by 4, then connect these two lines together like so. Then the next thing I'm going to be doing is to divide the waist circumference by 4 because I need that waist circumference. That is what I'm going to do. Divide it by 4, then mark out like so. Once I was done with this, the next thing I did was to go ahead to mark the neck width. The neck width I use for this measurement is 4 inches, which is 10 centimeters. Then I'm going to also mark the neck depth. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be drafting the front and the back piece of this outfit on this pattern paper. The difference is just the neckline. So for both the front and back neck width, I used 4 inches, which is 10 centimeters, because this outfit is not going to be having a zip. There is a need for the neck width to be a little bit wider for the head to easily enter it. And for the depth, what I did for the back depth was 5 centimeters, which is 2 inches, and for the front neck depth, what I marked was 5.5 inches or 6 inches. This is like 12 to 13 centimeters. You can make your neck depth deeper, or you can make it just like the basic neck, provided you are going to be using a button for the dress. You can do a basic neck if you'll be using a button, but if not, it's good to have a wider neck and the depth to be a little deep for your head to be able to go through the dress easily. Once I was done with all this, the next thing I marked was the shoulder length plus the sleeve length of this dress. What I did was I added the shoulder plus the sleeve length the client wanted. She wanted it to get to the elbow length. I added a shoulder length which was 13 centimeters plus 36 centimeters. You can do this in inches. I added them together, and that was what gave me the total length for this line. And once I've gotten the length, what I did was to come down by an inch. An inch is 2.5 centimeters, and I ruled the line to connect back to the neckline. Then the next thing I did was to come down from that very 1 inch I did by the elbow circumference or the elbow width divided by 2. Let's assume my elbow width is 40 centimeters or 15 inches. I divided this by 2 and I came down by the answer after dividing it by 2. This was how I got this particular measurement. And the final thing I did for this pattern before going ahead to do the facing was to connect from the very elbow line or elbow length line, the width line, to the knee line of the dress. I'm just going to use my hand to freely connect like this. I want it to be like this. You can go inward if you want, but I want this bubble to be in form of a butterfly shape. And once I was done connecting, I also connected the sleeve area together like so. With this, I'm done drafting this pattern. You can do this directly on the fabric. I did this on the pattern paper because I wanted us to see the markings clearly. And the next thing I did afterwards was to mark my facing. So the length of the facing for the back and the front neckline is going to be the same thing, both lengthwise and shoulder wise at the shoulder level. With the blue marker, that was what I marked, and I labeled my facing so that I would know it is for turning the neckline over to give me a neat finishing at the neckline. Then I went ahead to extend my front neckline at the front outward because I'm going to be cutting the front piece in two. I'm not going to be cutting it on fold because of the slit at the front. Then went down from the neckline by 7 centimeters for my slit at the upper side of the neck, and also for the slit at the knee I went up by 10 centimeters, which is 4 inches, because she wants the slit to be above the knee. Once I was done noting all these necessary points, I went in to mark my seam allowances. The seam allowance marked at the neck area was 0.5 inches. Also, the seam allowance marked at the shoulder and the armhole line was 0.5 inches, which is 1.5 centimeters thereabouts. And for the side seam was actually 3 centimeters. You can use 1 inch. I love using centimeters than inches, but I like explaining both in inches and centimeters. What I'm going to do is to cut my back piece first. So I'm going to be folding the front part of the pattern paper, which I ruled earlier as the borderline, like so, in order for me to cut my back piece on fold. And I'm going to fold my fabric into two. What happened here was that the length of the material was actually shorter than the pattern. Thank God the length was even short, because at the end of the video, when she wore the dress, she loved the length like so. If the length of the fabric had not been shorter, maybe the dress would have been longer than what she wanted. So I trimmed out some excesses from the pattern to give me the accurate length of the fabric, and I went ahead to pin down my fabric piece with my pattern piece together and went in to cut the back piece. For the front piece, I'm going to be unfolding the pattern paper like so to give me the excess for my seam allowance at the front, since I'm going to be cutting it in two pieces. But before cutting it, what I went to do was to trace out my facing on another paper. I need to cut the front piece, and if I cut the front piece, I'm going to be cutting the back neckline facing away. So what I did was to quickly trace out my facing, and I brought it out with my marker after using my tracing wheel to trace out. So this is what I have for the facing, and it aligned perfectly with the main pattern piece. With that settled, I can go ahead to cut the back neckline away from the pattern paper, then go ahead to arrange my pattern paper neatly and accurately on my fabric, and just go in to cut out my front piece. I'm just noting the waistline. Then I went ahead to divide the front piece into like so, notch my waist area, and even went in to trace out the waist area on the fabric. And I used my fabric marker to note the waist, because this is where I'm going to be sewing the rope and I don't want to have any excess at the waist area. I also went in to mark where the slit is going to be getting to at the hemline, and set it aside to cut the facing. To cut the back facing, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be folding the excess I have for the front, just like the way I did for the gown itself to cut my back facing like so, because I want to cut the back facing on fold. Once I'm done, I'm going to notch the center side of the back facing, then cut away the back neckline, just like the way I'm doing, in order for me to cut the front facing. For the front facing, I unfolded the piece I folded earlier to give me the full front piece, just like the way I cut the front part of the outfit, and I went ahead to cut my front facing. I'll go ahead to slit into two, just like the way I did for the front piece. And the next thing I want to cut out is the rope I'm going to be sewing to the waistline. So I went in to measure the width and connected the lines together like so, then use my scissors to cut it out. This rope is too long, which I'm still going to be reducing. I went ahead to divide the rope in two because I'm going to be using two rope for the dress. I have all the fabric ready. I'm going to be using this thread and hemming gum for the slit area and the pin. Also, so the hem line. I'll be coming back to show us this dress. It would have been ready. So this is what I have. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it was helpful. Please subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comment section, like, and if you're watching my video for the first time, please subscribe, join the family. God bless you. Till next time. Bye bye.